The top cop who put his badge on the line for justice.
The gripping story of Deputy Sheriff Doug Poppa. He was a top cop who did the right thing and paid dearly for it.
You know the name Doug Poppa?
Yes, I do. God bless Doug Poppa, an honest cop.
He was a man of integrity. His testimony last summer freed an innocent man from jail who had already been convicted of shooting his ex-wife. But Poppa's going public cost him his job as an undercover cop.
I was elated, of course, but then as he testified, I was somewhat concerned for him, because I knew that they were probably going to crucify that man.
Doug Poppa was targeted for a 10-day suspension by his own department for defying superiors and talking to the media. This Brooklyn-born street fighter wouldn't back down.
Sometimes the truth has a price. That may be the lesson of a Virginia police officer who says, in trying to do the right thing, he ended up paying for it.
The message you're sending is, see, we did it, Doug. You don't come out, you don't buck the system. No matter what the reason is, you just can basically keep your mouth shut. But if I wouldn't do it all over again, I would take the badge and I would leave it on somebody's desk and get out of police work. Because the day I can't tell the truth because somebody's pressuring me, and the day the system doesn't want me to tell the truth because somebody's pressuring me, is the day I leave the badge on the desk and walk away.
Poppa was fired for insubordination. One man who confronted truth and consequences.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Truth. It's not the Truth and Consequences podcast anymore. You know, some of the people, you looking at my old podcast, I changed the name several months back, and it's the Doug Poppa podcast. That's all it is right now. Welcome to the Doug Poppa podcast for Saturday, May 27th, 2023. Ladies and gentlemen, this is episode 144. This is exclusive information in this podcast. I'm not going to play any of the videos from episode 142 and 143, but as you know, those episodes were exclusive stories, and they were titled, not exactly how I'm in front of me, that an object fell from the sky and allegedly crashed in Las Vegas, Nevada around May 1st, and then the second part of those stories was, why did the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department install police video surveillance cameras on the property, hold on a second, on the property of the family who called us in. Now, as you know, once I start something, I got to keep digging, and there's a lot of stuff going on. But you remember the other day in episode 142, I had the exclusive interview, it was about 8 minutes, recorded with the witness who the family doesn't want to be identified. They don't want their address given out. They didn't want their faces. So I took the video interview and took the audio off it and played portions of it that wouldn't give away the address or the last names. Same thing what's going on today. So what happened today, ladies and gentlemen? I went back to the house, okay? And I have no explanation for what you're going to see and hear in this podcast. But I can say this. I honestly believe that the family members that I spoke to today, and I did speak to family members today, honestly believe they saw what they saw, and I don't have any reason to doubt them right now. I do not think this is a hoax. If it is, then they're putting one over on me, but I do not believe this is a hoax. I have no explanation for what you're going to see and hear in this podcast. And you know, I do these podcasts, investigative podcasts, and I stick with the facts. So let's start with this. I went back up to the house, and I spoke to several family members. They saw my podcast, so I gained their trust. And like I said, I didn't mention who they were. I didn't give out the street address. They let me into their home today. They took me into the backyard. And ladies and gentlemen, on May 1st, if you go back, and I'll have the description and the links to the episodes 142 and 143 in the description section, like I normally do when I publish these investigative stories. So I went back in the yard, and I saw a circular depression in the yard that the family members told me was there after they saw this craft and these beings walking around and the depression was there. Now, we're going on 3 weeks right now. So I'm going to call him Angel. That is his real first name. I do know who these people are. I'm not going to mention their last name. The son allowed me to use his real first name, Angel. And Angel took a photograph on May 1st at 1:37 in the morning while the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department police officers were in the backyard. And this photograph shows a circular depression in the ground and the gravel in their backyard. And when I got this photo this afternoon, I just came back a couple hours ago, I sent it to Tim Mayer, the Baltimore Post-Examiner. He's the editor of the Baltimore Post-Examiner. I said, get this photo out right away. I'll do a podcast later tonight. So the Baltimore Post-Examiner published the first photograph of what I believe right now is some craft or object that landed in Las Vegas, Nevada in the early morning hours of May 1st, 2023. So let me get this screenshot. I got a screenshot. I got no script going on, ladies and gentlemen. I got a lot of notes because I want to get this thing out as soon as I can. Okay. This is what the Baltimore Post-Examiner published just a few hours ago. That is a photograph that I obtained from Angel that he snapped on his cell phone while the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department police officers were there at 1:38 in the morning on May 1st, 2023. The Baltimore Post-Examiner, the first media outlet to publish that photograph. Okay? Now, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to get into more into this here in a little bit while. Yesterday, now you remember in those podcasts, Las Vegas Metro Police installed surveillance cameras in the light pole. Go back and look, because I'm not going to rehash those two podcasts. We'll be here for 8 hours, and this thing will never get published. So go back and look at those first two after you look at this or before, so you got some clarity on what we're talking about. But I got a call early this afternoon that I should go back to the house. I believe it was from my police sources that sent me that, and I went back. The surveillance cameras, as you hear later on, are gone. I guess when my podcast came out, they were pulled 2 or 3 days later, and you'll hear more about that here shortly. But yesterday, on my Twitter page, because I have a Twitter at DougPoppa1, and I put a lot of breaking news information that I get from police sources. I put it out right away. Sometimes it's raw and it's not, it's unfiltered. I put it out. Things need to be changed later on because sometimes things are fluid. Then I update it, and sometimes I'll talk about it on a podcast. But I put this out yesterday, and get it up on the screen here. Okay, zoom it out, and I said sources at LVMPD say Assistant Sheriff Sasha Larkin, who commands the Homeland Security and Special Operations Division, acted alone when she authorized TAS, which stands for the Technical and Surveillance Squad, as I mentioned in those other episodes, to install police video surveillance systems on the home of the citizens who reported seeing, quote, unquote, alien creatures. And then I said, why? Why was it installed? Ladies and gentlemen, this is a very bizarre case, and I have a lot more information that I'm getting from police sources, and I'm going to talk about something else, because there's something in that log that I showed, the dispatch log, and I showed it in episode 42 and then I believe 43. I have a problem with something, is why police officers weren't dispatched immediately. Why, before they dispatched police officers to the residents who called this in, that the assistant sheriff had to be notified at 12:38 in the morning. And about 18 minutes after they, and this is new information that I got, this is exclusive to the Doug Poppa podcast, about 18 minutes after the assistant sheriff was notified, then they start dispatching 2 patrol units. And I'm going to get into the patrol units. I don't want to do it here because I don't want this podcast going on for a long time, but there's some bizarre stuff with that log. And I'm talking to police sources and getting information. So that's what's going on there. So I'm going to get some stuff on the screen because I have a problem with the software. I don't know what's going on with it. So while you hear this audio recording, now when I came back this afternoon, when I was up at the house, ladies and gentlemen, I spoke to the father. I spoke to the older son, the young man, and then his brother. They all told me this thing, whatever it was, came down. You'll hear him explain more, so I don't want to get into it. You'll actually hear him talk here in a minute. They saw this thing come down. It actually landed, and they saw beings in the backyard. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been an investigator for many years in law enforcement, and I'm telling you, I do not think these people are making this up, okay? Whatever it is that they saw, they related to me, and you're going to hear the son Angel here in a second in a recorded interview. I recorded them earlier, but, with the noise in the background and the cell phone stuff, you can't. So I came back home, and we did a 30-minute interview with him. This is exclusive to the Doug Poppa podcast. So before we get to that, let me get her off the screen. Okay. Some of the things you're going to talk about. Now, the first thing I want to do here, I want to update you something from the other two podcasts. Let's get this up on the screen here. Okay. What does that say? Okay. It's just something I got because I want things clarified, and people like when I do this. Okay. The reason why I'm saying this, it says time difference. Zulu time zone is 7 hours ahead of Pacific Daylight Time. Okay, Zulu time is also known as Coordinated Universal Time, Greenwich Mean Time. That is used by the military and a lot of police for a lot of reasons. So you don't have different time. Like all over the world, it would be the same time. Get that up on the screen again. Why am I showing this? Listen, Zulu time zone is 7 hours ahead of Pacific Daylight Time. Okay, let me get that off the screen. And I just made this stuff, so I'm looking, bear with me on some of these things here. I just got this thing going. Now, why did I say that? Remember in episode 142, I showed the body cam video, the police body cam video of the police officer on a call around the same time this thing came down that the family saw, I said, and you go back and look at the body cam. Well, I obtained a clearer body cam video from a source, okay? I'm going to put up on the screen here, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, this is a screenshot from the new video I got, which is much clearer. And as you could see, the other day I said I couldn't see the date and time, see if that would correlate to around the time the family came in. And then remember, the second podcast that I did, I received the video that I played from the other side of town, M Resort. Now, bear with me. I know this is not going to get confusing here, but you'll understand what I'm doing here in a minute, okay? So let me do this. Okay, that is a screenshot, but this actually shows, which I didn't see in the video in my other podcast because it was blurry. So up at the top, you see where it says 2023-05-01, and then it says T, which means time, 49 minutes, and then 10 seconds Z, okay? That is Zulu time, okay? So we now know all those body cam videos, most of them across the country, use Zulu time, okay? And Zulu time is 7 hours, as you saw, ahead of, we're out here in Las Vegas, so Pacific Daylight Time. So that recording, you saw the body cam video when the officer's out there, and you see, you won't see it here, but you saw the thing coming down, and they both turn around, the citizen, and they're looking at it. The officer puts his hands up. So the actual time that actually happened, because Zulu time is 7 hours ahead of Pacific Daylight Time. So that incident happened on the body cam on April 30th at 11:49 p.m. It fits, okay? Zulu time, 7 hours ahead, which makes it April 30th, 11:49 p.m. Why am I saying that? Because you remember, I've been doing a lot of work here the past couple of days, and it was driving me crazy, but I want to get this out. Now, you remember that, let's get this off the screen, that in episode 143, I said I obtained, and I showed the video, which is much clearer, from the South Strip facing north from the M Resort. One of the residents had a camera on the house, and it was published by 702 Times. And you saw the time up on the corner of that video, and let me get that up here. Input 14. Okay. And this is from the video I showed in episode 143. There's a still shot. You see the time up in the corner. That's from the surveillance camera at the home. And it says April 30th, 11:49 p.m. And you could see the object, the still shot of the object coming out of the sky. So, ladies and gentlemen, we now know that that video from the south side of Las Vegas, when the 702 Times outlet out here, their Twitter page, said it was facing north, we now know that time correlates with the police body cam video when the officer was out taking the complaint, because 7 hours prior, 7 hours ahead on Zulu would make his body cam and that incident where he's talking to the citizen on the complaint be April 30th at 11:49 p.m. So we now know that this photograph that was taken from the other side of town is the object that that police officer saw. That you go back and look at the video on when he was out there taking the complaint. So we now know this thing was coming down around 11:49 p.m. on April 1st, and that's about the time that when I talked to the witness, Angel, the other day, said he thought it was around 12 o'clock. You know, he wasn't looking at the clock and stuff. So this is all fitting. It's all. One more time. There's the time in the left-hand corner. Okay? Now, I got some more exclusive stuff here that nobody has reported on yet. Remember, I was the first news outlet. I call myself I'm an independent news journalist. So on my podcast, I broke this story the other day. And again, I want to thank Tim Mayer, the editor of the Baltimore Post-Examiner, for getting that photo shot out of that circular. And believe, lady, it's a circle. You'll hear me talk here in a second. I don't want to when I'm talking to Angel on the interview, so I'm not going to double what I'm talking. So let's get this off the screen. Get rid of that, and let's put this up on the screen. Okay, you saw the Baltimore Post-Examiner. Let me get that back up here for a second. They just put this out right when I came back at about 6 o'clock at night. So the first ones to break this photo, and that's a photo I sent them. I said, let's see if we get that out. So exclusive, they broke it, and that photo is from this photo that I obtained from Angel, and you will see the time when he took it on there. Let's get this up here, and that's what I sent. Okay, now that's the same photograph published by the Baltimore Examiner, but you couldn't see the time, and you could see there. Las Vegas, May 1st, and he's got the time up there in the corner, I think 1:38 a.m. I don't have my glasses on, but 1:37. Okay, so that's the photo that I got from Angel that was taken at the time the first two Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department police officers were in the backyard, and they saw that, and he snaps the photo. It is a perfect circle, and you could see the impression in the ground. And I'll talk about this more. So when I'm playing the audio recording, I'm not going to be able, because my software put this stuff on the screen. So I wanted to get it on there so you have an idea of what I'm talking about. Now I got another photo, which backed up, corroborates what he told me, the family told me the other day. This is all exclusive to the Doug Poppa podcast. So let's get this crater off input 15, and let's go to input 16. What are we looking at? Okay, and I said I wouldn't show the faces or identify the location of the house. It is in the northwest section of Las Vegas. But again, today, the family don't want their faces out, the address. There's some journalists have been coming around calling up, but, otherwise they're going to get bombarded with, all kinds of things. And right now they don't want to do it. So this photo, what am I looking at here? Exclusive to the Doug Poppa podcast. This is, remember I said the other day when I was talking that other cops came out a couple days later and said, the other two guys didn't do something correct. Well, Angel told me today he snapped this picture, and that's the father, but you can't see his face, so he said it's okay. And those are two Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department Northwest Area Command sergeants, or wherever that. So I don't know if they're working the Northwest, but the house is the Northwest Area Command. Those are two LVMPD sergeants. They're both sergeants. And Angel says, best you can remember, they came out about midnight on May 6th, so about 5 or 6 days after the original complaint. These officers came out, and I'm putting that in there to corroborate what they told me the other day, that other cops came out. I think there was 2, and then they said detectives came out, and these guys. Anyway, so we have here is 2 LVMPD sergeants on May 6th, and he said they came out about midnight. And they went in the yard, they were talking to them about this thing. Ladies and gentlemen, this whole thing is completely bizarre. I've never handled an investigation like this. And I still have a lot more, some stuff that I'm not going to show right now. I'm still, vetting some stuff. But so that's what we got. So let's get him off the screen here. So now, ladies and gentlemen, when I came back later, earlier tonight, I did a good audio recording interview with Angel, and you're going to hear him here in a second, and after that, I'll do my closing. Listen to this. This is very bizarre, and I have no explanation either for the photographs that I showed or what he's going to say. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Doug Poppa from the Doug Poppa Podcast. Today is Saturday, May 27th, 2023. The time is 17:32 hours Pacific. That's 5:32 p.m. Pacific. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, if you follow my podcast, in episodes 142 and 143, I broke the exclusive story about something falling from the sky in Las Vegas, early morning hours of May 1st, 2023. And I did in that first video that I did, you saw where you heard a video interview that I did, and I recorded the audio portion on the podcast with the witness. It was about an 8-minute podcast. I have a gentleman on the phone who was when I did that exclusive podcast earlier. This is Angel, and he's the young man that I spoke to in the first podcast. And today, I went back up to the house, and he's going to describe some stuff, and I can attest that I saw this circle depression in the rear yard of the house earlier this afternoon when I was up there. And both Angel and his father described to me what they saw that night. And now we have Angel, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Tell me from the start what happened in the early morning hours of May 1st. Maybe it would have been before, April 30th or around midnight. Tell me in your own words what you saw, and then I'm not going to interrupt you, and then at the end I'll ask you some questions. So go ahead and start.
Okay, so I was in the backyard in front of the house. I was fixing a truck for my dad and my brother, and we moved this car, and then out of nowhere we just see something. We heard a noise, but as the noise was coming down, you could see a big light reflecting it, and when it fell down, you could see the big impact. And when the impact fell, you couldn't see nothing. It was all blurry. But the vision I saw was blurry, as you couldn't see nothing in the backyard. But when it fell down, you could feel a big impact when it fell down, and there was smoke everywhere, and your eyes get blurry, and then the only thing you can see is footsteps, and there was blurry footsteps. That was it. It was a very scary experience. You couldn't, how do I say this? Like, your soul was out of your body. You couldn't really talk too much, and from there, I called my mom, and I came outside, and we saw something walking, and then we walked in the backyard, and we see a creature. We see a creature peeking, and it was a very big creature, maybe like a silver color or green color. It was you could see it's naked, it's shiny, big eyes, big head, with very long legs, skinny body stretched out, and it just looked at us. And when we looked at it, we got scared, and we ran back to the backyard where we were fixing the car. Mm-hmm. And we were fixing the car, and then we saw it again standing up, looking at us, and it was kind of close to me. And I saw it, and then when you look at it, you get stuck in your head, and your legs get very heavy. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, it's like kind of like a sleep paralysis. You can move, you just look in the eyes, and then you get stuck in it, and then you can hear it breathing. What I was thinking when I fell down, I think it hurt himself because he was breathing very loud, and his leg was kind of like bent, like a broken leg, if that makes sense.
You say when it was walking, the legs appear to be bent?
No, when I saw it like standing up on its two legs, the legs were like bent in a way. I don't know if they're like that but I saw the legs were like bent on the side, and it was breathing very, like when I heard it breathing, I heard him breathe in my mind. If that makes sense.
And when I was out there early this afternoon, your father pointed to a metal pole in the backyard and said it was about that height, and I stood next to it. I'm 6 feet tall, and that put it about over 8 feet tall. Is that about the height that you saw?
It's around 9, maybe close to 10. I really didn't, but yeah, it was very tall. It was a very tall creature, but I saw it very tall.
And how many of these things did you see?
What I'm thinking, I said there was 2 of them.
2?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, let's get back to, explain to me, when you said you saw this thing fall, or whatever it was, were your eyes blurry, or was the object blurry?
The object, I couldn't see nothing.
But not your eyes?
In a way, no, my eyes, no. Because when I looked back in the front yard, everything was visible. And my brother was there too. When you look where, the landing happened, when you look there, like the whole backyard was blurry in a way. It was foggy.
Okay, did you see, did you physically fire, smoke, or what did you think this was that was surrounding the craft?
Like, maybe, I don't know, it was very blurry. I couldn't really see nothing. But maybe, I saw dust, and that's about it. But I know that I saw blurry, I couldn't see nothing.
Okay, then did there come a time when the blurry object went away and you didn't see anything there? Is that correct?
No, I never saw the thing that fell down. Well, I never saw like the, correct me if I'm wrong, but like the UFO.
Right.
Like that. I never saw the thing, but I heard it and I felt it.
And then when you looked in that direction, you couldn't see anything because the area where this thing supposedly crashed was blurry, right?
Correct. Yes, correct.
Okay. And
after like 5 to 6 seconds, I saw everything then.
And then what did you see after 5-6 seconds?
After 5-6 seconds, I saw somebody like a tall figure running, and it was naked, and it just ran fast from side. I saw it walk from left to right very fast.
Did you see where it went after that point?
No, I went behind the forklift.
Okay. Let's go back to did you see something fall from the sky before you saw this thing in the backyard? Did you see something fall from the sky?
I saw the rain when it fell, like straight from the sky down to our house.
And what did it look like when it was coming down?
It was like how can I say this? It kind of looked like an object. It wasn't like, I saw like, how can I say this? Like round, let's put it that way, round, and there was like lights, like it was light, like it was like a shield with light in it. Like there was so many lights, big light though, very bright.
And what color was the bright light? What color was the bright light?
Maybe like a bluish green, and then in the end it was, actually I saw sparks. When it fell down, I saw a lot of sparks.
Sparks when it was falling or when it hit the ground?
When it hit the ground, I saw sparks. I forgot to mention that, but it was like reddish sparks, and when I saw it from the sky, it was a greenish color, and when it fell down, it turned red and then blue, and then the last thing I saw was sparks, a little bit sparks.
Okay. And I was out there early this afternoon. I spoke to your brother and your father, and your father told me basically the same thing that you said, and they said, okay. Now, what happened after that? Tell me exactly what you did after that. What happened?
After that, when my sight went back to normal, I heard a lot of footsteps, and I kind of in a way I heard like a little bit of like voices, but I did hear a lot of footsteps everywhere. Like you could feel them behind you, in front of you, on the side of you, and everywhere. And in a way you get goosebumps everywhere. You feel like you're in a dream because like you get a lot of goosebumps. It's a very scary experience. After that, me and my dad, we walked to the backyard all the way on the wall.
Right.
And then we were walking back. As we were walking back, we saw in the forklift, we saw one of them inside looking at us and had big eyes. And like it looks at you when you're walking. It looks at you when you're walking, and it blinks, and you can see it blink and everything.
And now at this point, one of them is inside the forklift?
Yes.
Like sitting down?
Yes.
Okay. Where did they go from that point?
From that point, me and my dad ran. Oh, actually, when you look at it, you can't run. You cannot run because your legs get very heavy in a way. Like you really can't move that much. But as soon as we ran back where our yard is, and then from there we just called the cops, and the cops came and there was nothing anymore.
And what happened when the police came?
The police came, so I called them over this. I don't know if you have a police call, but there's two creatures in the backyard and has big eyes and silver looking greenish big eyes, and the police like, oh yeah, we gotta send a cop. When the two cops came, I told them everything that happened, and the way they got scared when they walked in the backyard, they're like, I feel goosebumps, and they're like, and they just like, they told us, if you see anything like that again, gotta give us a call. But it tells you guys to give us a call. If you have a gun, shoot it. That's what they told us.
They said if they have a gun, and your father has open carry, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. When did you observe this circle in the gravel?
When the cops came.
And the time on the photographs. Just so that the audience, ladies and gentlemen, when I'm playing this recording into the podcast, you'll see the photographs on the screen. I saw, when I was up there this afternoon, what looked like to be a circle, a depression inside the gravel in this rear yard of this family's home. And Angel actually snapped photographs. You'll see that on the screen. And it says 1:37 a.m. on May 1st, and it's pretty clear of what you're looking in there. It is a circle. Now, when I was up there this afternoon, I didn't see any burn marks. I didn't see any debris. There was nothing like something was burned into the ground. But the photograph you're looking at on the screen was taken by Angel while the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department officers were there at 1:37 in the morning on May 1st. Okay, so what happened after the police left?
After the police left, we just went inside, and the only thing you could hear like voices, and they were walking on the roof. Like I heard footsteps on the roof. They trying to open the door, and like you get goosebumps. We couldn't really sleep at night. I didn't sleep at night.
Okay, what are you saying? Is somebody on the roof? Was that the police, or was that these things before the police got there?
No, I'm talking about after the police left. We went inside the house because so when I called the cops, they took around 30 minutes to get here.
Right.
Around 25-30 minutes. When they came over, they looked at everything. Not really, they didn't look at it like they didn't look up anything. He told me, wow, look at the circle. And he told me, my partner, she saw a light around 12 a.m. So that I do believe you about this. He was, I don't want to, make fun of him, but they were very, scared. Because they know what was real. It wasn't something I faked it or nothing. And actually, one of the cops told me, he showed me the circles, like, look at this. He's like, well, was this here? I was like, no. He showed me the circle. He's like, look at that. And all of us were...
And that's when he took the photograph?
Yes.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you know from the first two podcasts, when I covered this exclusively in the first one and the second one, I also talked about the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department going into that property, and when I spoke to the mother, that was May 19th, that was last Friday, which is that they came out and they stole the surveillance cameras. But when I was up there this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, the cameras were gone. And you'll hear Angel talk about that in a second. But I did notice another camera that was lower on the pole that I couldn't see when I was out there on Friday, May 19th, and it's facing the rear yard. Angel, tell me what that camera is and who put that one there.
Okay, the camera that was on the property already.
Right.
It's the owners. So the owner has a lot of stuff in the back, like motorhomes and trailers. So, he has to protect his own stuff.
And is that recorded? That's recorded?
Yes.
Okay.
That's recorded.
Tell me what you found out about what was recorded on that camera. Tell me what you told me this afternoon as how you know it. You know what we're talking about. You told me this afternoon in the backyard and your father what happened with that camera. Tell the people what was going on with that.
Okay, so the owner, they showed the footage to the cops. And the cops said that at probably 11:50 something, a couple minutes before it happened, the floor was perfect. Like the dirt was totally normal. Like there was no circle or nothing. And then it cut off the camera. And then I let 12:03, 12:05, I don't remember. A couple minutes after, the print was there, the circle.
So.
And the camera, there's nothing on it. Like there's no light, no nothing.
So I'm clear here, because this is what you told me this afternoon, basically the same thing said here. The surveillance camera that's in the backyard that I saw is being recorded through the phone line, something through the owner who's off that property. And the cops went out there to look at the video, and then you're saying they told you that before this thing came down that you saw, a couple of minutes before, the ground where you have the photographs, ladies and gentlemen, you're seeing on the screen here, there was no depression in the gravel. Then about 2, maybe 3 minutes you say, or whatever you say, they're telling you that the surveillance camera went out, and when it came back on the recording, they now see the depression in the ground. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and the camera did not record anything actually physically coming down or crashing in the ground, except that the ground was normal, and then after it came back on, the circle that you took a picture of was there.
Correct.
Okay, and did it come any time when you saw something, now that it's on the ground, take off from the ground and go into the air? Did you see anything like that?
No.
So you don't have any idea what this thing was or where it went, right? What happened to it once it made that circle?
Correct. Because it was blurry, there's nothing.
Okay, now I want to get to the blurriness so people understand.
Yep.
Was it your eyes that were blurry, or was it something that was around this thing, whatever it was, that was blurry, that was keeping you from seeing what it was?
That's exactly what it was, because my eyes were blurry. What I saw was blurriness.
So you couldn't really see what it was? Okay.
Correct. At a certain point, at a certain point, it was all blurry, and that's about it.
And then when it became not blurry, what did you see at that point?
When it wasn't blurry no more,
Right.
I saw the creatures. So when I told you I saw the big, figure, alien-looking thing standing up and looking at us, and.
But you didn't see any type of craft once the blurriness went away from around this thing. You didn't see anything foreign, anything there, right? Just the creatures.
No, just the creature.
And you
Everything I saw was a light. Hold on.
The light coming down. And you don't know where these things went when you saw them, where they went, right?
No.
Okay. When the cops got there, were there any type of footprints in the ground that night, or did you see that belong to you?
The next morning I did, because it was nighttime, I couldn't really see nothing. We were all scared, and it was very in a way it was traumatizing, because it was a lot on our head, because we were like, wow, we just saw the creatures. But the next morning, me, my dad, and my parents, we went in the backyard to check, and exactly where the circle is, there's footprints coming out of the circle. And I walked all over the yard, you can see big footsteps.
And how big were the footprints, do you think?
Maybe 15 inches maybe.
Okay, did you take photographs of those?
I did not.
Okay, did they look like a human footprint or a shoe or anything like that?
No. Actually, not only was it a footprint, but it was very deep. Like, what I'm thinking, I think they were heavy, because it was very deep in the dirt, in the rocks.
Okay. The first 2 police officers that came out, and I talked about that in the first podcast, you told me so, half the podcast, were they 2 males, or was a male and a female the first night, May 1st?
2 males.
2 males? Did there come a time when other police officers came back and spoke to you and your family?
Yes, on May 6th, I think, after they was after.
And who were they?
Two sergeants, the two males, sergeants.
And why did they say they came back?
Supposedly that the other officers, they didn't do a good job investigating what happened, and they were just got a time and checked that if nothing was stolen, they're like, maybe it was a human, they probably stole some catalytic converters, or, you know, they were trying to find fingerprints or stuff like that. And it's just, yeah. But they came very late, around 12 something, I think.
So it was 12:30 in the morning, so it would have been dark. It wouldn't have been during the day, 12:30 a.m.
No, in the nighttime, in the midnight.
Okay, and ladies and gentlemen, there's photographs that I'll show on the screen of the officers in the backyard at that time. Now, tell me about the police coming out and putting the surveillance cameras that I already talked about and showed them on the earlier podcast. Tell me about why they told you they put those in there.
They're like, well, there's a lot of media. I'm telling you what the detective told me. They're like, there's a lot of media, and we try to put a camera in the backyard, or somebody trying to jump the fence. They told me it's for your protection and your family. So we gotta put a camera in the backyard so journalists cannot jump, or, you know, people trying to jump the backyard. Supposedly there's like a lot of people that knew about it. So.
And when I came back today, obviously the surveillance cameras that the police installed weren't there. When did they come out and take those out, and why did they tell you they pulled them out?
It was around, I think May 17th?
No, today's it says the 27th. I was there last Friday. Your mom said they put them in on the 19th, and then they're not there now. So between Friday the 19th and today, would you remember when they came out and why they told you they pulled them off?
They took them out around 3 days ago, and they told me they took them out because that one of the cameras, or both of the cameras, went bad, and they were going to fix them and put it back. That's what they told me.
So they told you they're going to fix them and put it back in there. Okay. As far as you know, Angel, did your family request the police to put those cameras in, or did they just say they put them in and they got permission from the owner? That's what your mom said. Or did you say, we want you to put cameras in because we're afraid? Do you know anything about that?
They asked permission from us and the owner, and we said, yeah.
For the purpose of, because they said that media would be coming out there?
Correct.
Okay. After this thing happened on May 1st, how many media or other people came out to your house and talked to you or were looking around the house? Just give me an estimate.
I never pulled anybody in the backyard except for you, like journalists or people like podcast people. But the news channel came, the people from news and some other people too, some big names came over, but you know, around 2-3 people maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's about it. They want to do an interview with me, but you know, I don't want to do it.
So what did they take pictures of? Did they go in the backyard?
No, I did not. I did not put it in the backyard.
Okay. And I asked you this before, just because this is an investigative podcast, and your father told me what he said too, and I asked both your dad and you and your brother was there. I said, is any part of this that you told me and which you told me the other day for the podcast when I interviewed and which you told the police, is any part of this a hoax, made up, embellished?
No.
Okay. What do you think this, just give me your opinion here, this is strictly your opinion. What do you think it was, and what do you think that creature was that was walking around?
Well, I think it was, I don't know, it looked demonic to me. It looked so it's not a good thing, but it looked like, you know, like an alien. Like if you go on Google, you put alien, that's exactly what it looks like. They're kind of different because the eyes look different and the body, and yeah. For me, this is, you know, something that alien. That's my opinion.
Okay, and I asked you and your dad, and ladies and gentlemen, you're seeing the photographs that Angel took the early morning hours of May 1st at 1:37, and when I was up there today, it's not as identifiable as it was there, but you can actually see that there is a circle impression in the ground in the rear yard. It's more pronounced in that photograph that they took on the early morning hours of May 1st. And you, your dad, your family did not make that circle, right?
Nope.
Okay. What is the last contact you had with the police on this? When was the last contact, and what did they say the last time any police officer spoke to you about this?
On May, when the police officers came and took off the cameras about it, that's the last time I ever talked to one of them.
Okay. And I asked you this the other day in the podcast, and then I asked you, has any other organization, anything from the government, ever been out and physically interview you? In other words, says, I'm from A, B, and C, and I need to do it. Has that happened?
Well, the only thing that they tried to talk to me was the news people and some other people too, some YouTubers and stuff. But actually, I forgot to mention this, but on May 6th, when the two sergeants came, around in the afternoon, there was I was working on my truck near there. We were outside in the yard, and a government truck passed by the house, and it was like kind of going slow. And there was 3 people inside with sunglasses and a suit, and like in 2010 Chevy Suburban, maybe? It was black Suburban. And I ran after the truck so I could see the plates, and the only thing I saw from the plate was the U.S. government, a white plate with American flag in it.
And did the vehicle stop, or did it keep on going?
No, it just kept on going. When I ran to it, they just went very fast, and in the corner just disappeared. I went with my truck to look for them, and I couldn't.
And you clearly saw the white U.S. government tag on this vehicle?
Correct.
Okay, and nobody contacted you from the government after that, or even before, is that correct?
No, never.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been talking to Angel, and he is the gentleman I spoke to in the first podcast, episode 142. You see that 8-minute audio clip that was taken off of the video. And again, in this exclusive interview with him, and then this podcast that you're looking at now, I gave the family my word, as I did when I was out there a week ago, that I would not identify them by last name, give the location of their address, or anyway. Now, according to what Angel said, there are some news people that know, and other people have been out there, but I'm not going to do it because I know this could lead to a lot of people going up there and just bothering and harassing the family. Now, if more people find out about it, it's certainly not going to be for me. Angel, is there anything else you want to tell me about this?
I was going to tell you about when I saw the government truck. It was on May 6th. And actually, that same, later on that day, it was already nighttime. It was probably around 10 o'clock maybe.
Right.
In the backyard, there was a drone. And it just left. There was a drone in the backyard, so.
What do you mean it was a drone? How do you know it was a drone?
It was a drone, I saw it. It was a drone. It was kind of big. Like, how can I? Maybe like 20 inches, maybe? Big drone.
Like somebody could have had a drone trying to take pictures of the backyard from the property?
Maybe, yeah. But it had police lights on it. It had blue and red police lights on it.
It had blue and red?
I don't know. It might be the police, I don't know.
And what night was this?
But I just said, it was on May 6th, around 10 p.m.
Okay.
Before midnight.
Now, I asked you this afternoon with your father, and you gave an answer, but I just want the people to hear it. You know what, and I told you what a biohazard suit looks like. Okay, and actually, could it have been a human being in some type of biohazard suit? You know, they have the hoods on, and sometimes they look dark. There's different versions of them, and you don't think that was what it could have been, right?
No, it was not. I'm 100% sure it's not, because I saw everything. The whole. Oh, actually, I forgot to mention this. When I saw it standing, when it looked at us, it had a light on it, like a light was reflecting on it, and no, it was not a human, because you can look at it. It was very tall. There's no human being 9 foot tall, 10 foot tall.
Right.
But I saw it. It was naked. You could see the stomach moving. You could see the rib cage, everything. You could see everything. and they had big heads, like big heads. And the eyes too were big.
And what do the eyes look like?
The one I saw inside the portrait, they were like a neon, maybe. Like it had bright light eyes. And then the one I saw standing, it had human eyes. Like you can see big particles, and like the eyes, you can see the blink and everything. You can see eyelashes too.
You can see eyelashes also?
Yes, I did see. They were very big. You could, when I blinked, like it looked like you were blinking, it was moving. It was something scary that not human.
Okay. Anything else you want to say?
No.
Okay.
What's the matter?
Okay. And again, let me ask you this. I don't mean to disrespect. I asked your dad the same question, and he told me no. This is not a hoax. None of this is made up. You didn't do this for attention, or because if you did, people do it all the time. They'll see something in the sky, and then they'll say, okay, let me add stuff into it. So this is not a hoax. Is that correct?
Nope.
Okay. And ladies and gentlemen,
I saw what I saw. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I saw what I saw. My brother saw it. My dad saw it. I don't drink. We don't drink. We don't do drugs. None of that. We were wide awake. We were not sleepy. Nothing like that. We were working in our car and we saw that.
Okay. Well, thanks for the interview, and if you got my number to call me if anything else comes up. And I also want to be notified if anybody comes out there, especially from the government, to us. And let me ask you one more question. When the police were out there, did any of the police tell you any time not to talk to anybody about this?
Well, they told me to do whatever you want, but they're like, if I was you, just ignore them, try to talk to them. That's what they told me.
And when I talked to you the other day on that 6 minute, you said that somebody told you it's just not supposed to be kept secret. Who told you not to say anything about it if it wasn't the police?
Somebody told me. Like, trying to talk about it too much, trying to have a problem with the government, so. But that's what I was, I wasn't trying to, because, if there was something where I want to spread a lot, I would have gone on the news already. But it's not, well, they told me, try not to talk about it too much and kind of keep it a secret, okay?
And who told you that? Who told you that?
I really can't mention it. Sorry.
Okay, was it the police or was it journalists?
A journalist told me that too, and the police told me try not to talk about it too much.
Okay.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, hang on a second. Too loud here, and the feedback coming back, driving me crazy. Okay. Okay. 1, 2. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, this is bizarre. Okay. Like I said, I spoke to the father. I spoke to today when I went back. I spoke to Angel. I spoke to his brother. The same consistent what they told me the other day, and what they relate is consistent to what they told the police when they called in. There's aspects of this that still bother me. It's police related, not related to the family. And like I said, I'm going to have another podcast on this because I'm breaking down that dispatch log, and I don't know why. And I said it earlier. I'm going to say it again. Why before the patrol units were dispatched for 18 minutes, there's a break when it says A/S advised by landline, which is the assistant sheriff. And then about 18 minutes later is when they dispatch. I believe it's 1 David Paul 6.8 and 1 David Paul 6.2. I'm not going to get into it now because we're at 54 minutes. I want to get this thing published and uploaded. But those police, and I'll talk about this more, those police units, the 1DP designation stands for direct patrol. So they weren't an X-ray unit, which are the normal patrol units that would be X-ray 1, X-ray 2 in that sector, in the northwest sector of Las Vegas. The DP units, from what I understand, just normally drive around. They're not assigned calls. They do like other proactive type of stuff. So there's a lot of stuff going on with that dispatch log that's not making any sense. So we'll talk about that. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I was up there today, okay, and I was walking around the neighborhood. I knocked on their door, and they didn't hear me right away. And I was walking around, and two neighbors spoke to me. I knocked on one door, and he said, like across the street or something, and he said I guess one of the family members was talking after this happened, that's something, but he said he didn't see nothing. His family, there was his wife and his kid was there. They didn't see anything, okay? But I went to another residence adjacent to that house, and there was a gentleman coming out of putting stuff in a car, and I said, I had my press credentials on, told him I was. I said, can I talk to you? And he had like a fence. He said, sure, nice. He came over, told him who I was, and I said, May 1st, supposedly something next door fell in the yard. Did you hear anything? And he says, we're going to a funeral. I said, oh, I'm sorry. But he says, I didn't see anything that night or hear anything. We were in the house. My wife heard a thud, like, when something's crashing, a thud. And then she was coming out of the house while he was talking to me, and she looked and she said, yeah, I was in the house. I didn't see anything. I was inside, but I heard this loud thud. And then she said, a little while later, some Metro police officers came over and interviewed her. And this was early morning hours of May 1st. So we have the photographs from the other podcast, something falling to the sky. This family, Angel's family, saw something land or crashed in the backyard. There's a depression there. They see some beings. The neighbor right next to them, the lady I spoke to, said she heard a loud thud, a thud like something crashing. But she didn't say anything because she was in the house. So, and now this is puzzling also, ladies and gentlemen. You heard him say, when I was over there, like I said last Friday, I saw the two police domes over there. And when I went, they said they put them in. I couldn't see anything else, but because this camera that's you have to be in the yard to see it, it's lower. And you heard him say that's been there since they rented the house a couple months ago, belongs to the owner. And I guess he's got it going through the phone lines, and he's watching his big backyard because he's got, vehicles back there. But here's interesting is what he said. You heard what he said, that the cops told him they looked at that owner's video, and it was recording that night. And they see no depression in the ground. Then something happens to the camera for about 2 minutes. And when the camera starts recording again, the depression is in the ground. But you heard him say they didn't see a crash because the camera, for some reason, stopped. It was still recording, I imagine. It just didn't record any video. It's something I didn't see. I haven't seen the video. So the police have that video. So that's bizarre. So the camera's rolling, surveillance camera. The gravel is fine, doesn't show nothing. Then something happens to the camera, and when the camera starts recording again, 2 or 3 minutes later, this depression is in the ground. That's what he's saying. So I don't have that video. The police have it. And then we have these the surveillance cameras, and you heard him say they came out and said they talked to the owner of the family for their protection. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you something. I find it extremely hard to believe that Homeland Security Assistant Chief in charge of Homeland Security, who I found out the other day from sources, did authorize the TAS unit, which is the Technical Surveillance Squad that would do those installs, to install those cameras, okay? I find it hard to believe that the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department is going to put those cameras on just because they were afraid of journalists coming and bothering the family. Something is not right here. And just one more thing here. In the first podcast, when I was reading that dispatch log, when I said it shows, I think it was 0038, it says A/S advised by landline, and I said it means assistant sheriff. And I assumed, ladies and gentlemen, that it was the assistant sheriff, and I said Tim Seebach, Tim or Jim, I don't have the paper in front of me, Jim Seebach or Tim, okay, Assistant Sheriff Seebach, and I said I believe it was him because he's the assistant sheriff under the patrol division. But I now believe, and I sent a memo the other day I'll talk about that in another podcast, to Metro telling them this, for an answer, and of course I get no answer back. I now believe that there's a very good possibility that the assistant sheriff that was notified may have not been Assistant Sheriff Seebach in charge of patrol, but possibly Assistant Sheriff Sasha Larkin, who runs the Counterterrorism Center and the Homeland Security Division and TAS and criminal intelligence. That's just what I'm believing right now, and I got a lot of other information coming in. So I'm not going to finish it. We're up to 1 hour here. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think I covered it. Just let me get more. And I'm sorry, when I was doing it, I said you were looking stuff on the screen, but there's something wrong with the software. If I would put stuff on the screen while the audio was playing, it was knocking out the audio and would start over. I got to find out what the problem is. But let's just get some stuff back on the screen before I close this out. I have much more coming up, including which 144 episode was supposed to be the Sasha Larkin, Sheriff Kevin Mayhill alleged affair, and that's what I was going to handle. But this thing came out today unexpectedly, so that'll be another podcast. And I got more information on the 1995 incident with Carrie Lance, where Sheriff Kevin McMahill told her to show me your snatch, your vagina, and the charges were sustained by an Internal Affairs Bureau investigation for being untruthful and neglect of duty and stuff like that. I have more information and more information on this alleged affair that's causing an upheaval over at Metro headquarters. And I broke that exclusive information on my Twitter the other day. So what did I want to say here? I just forgot. I slept like 2 hours last night. And, I was going to get you, I'll talk about that on another podcast. I don't want to, it's an hour, and it's going to take a couple hours to unload because these podcasts are recorded in 1080p 60, and it takes too much to go back and change the parameters. So anyway, let's get back on the screen here. This is, let me get this thing off the screen here. Okay, this is the Baltimore Post-Examiner published this early this evening. They published the first photo on this exclusive. That is the photo that was taken by Angel when the Las Vegas Metro police officers were there. So you got that shot. You can go back and look at it. Let's get that off the screen. We have I told you the body cam video. I'm not going to play it again. The thing you saw, we now know, confirmed, that the police officer's body camera video with the time frame does correlate with the video of the house on the south side of the boulevard that was facing north with the object coming down. So we know that it correlates there. And then we have this is the actual thing that shows the date on it. And that's the photo from Angel's cell phone, and he put it on my phone, taken the night, 1:37, 1:38, I don't have my glasses on, whatever it was, while the Las Vegas Metro Police, ladies and gentlemen, I was out there. It's a perfect circle, okay? You know, I have no explanation for this, and things like this bother me because I don't like a mystery, and I don't have any answers for it. But I said it's a nice family. I don't think they're making this stuff up, ladies and gentlemen, but this is not things that I usually handle. I don't usually handle cases like this. I do police corruption, unsolved murders, and stuff like this. And then one more shot of this. These are the police officers that were out there a couple days later, about midnight, and came out again because they said the other two cops didn't do something right. They're two sergeants, okay? And from Las Vegas Metro, two sergeants, not just an officer and a sergeant, which is interesting. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's what we have. Remember, if you don't subscribe to the Doug Poppa podcast, it's free on YouTube. Subscribe. If you want to support my independent investigative journalism, I don't get paid for doing these podcasts. It's paypal.me/Doug Poppa. If you want to contact me, DougPoppaPodcast@gmail.com. Legitimate inquiries only. Anything BS or doesn't look right, I'm not interested. I just delete. So serious inquiries only. DougPoppaPodcast@gmail.com. And we will see you on the next episode. I got a lot of good exclusive stuff coming up that you're not going to hear in the local Las Vegas media, including some updated information on how would you feel, ladies and gentlemen, if your mother was being murdered, stabbed 68 times, and she died, while the cops were standing outside her door and didn't go in to try to save her life. They wanted to go in, but their sergeant told them to stand down and wait for SWAT. And prior to SWAT arrival, her son, who killed her, came out with the two knives, and they went in. The cops who wanted to go in and saw her name. Her name, I'm talking about her. You know the name Joe Lombardo. You know the name Kevin McMahill, if you follow me. But do you know the name of Paula Prado Zuniga? ZUNIGA. Because apparently the local Las Vegas media could care less about this. I broke this story back in December, and I haven't seen anybody pick this story up, okay? 74-year-old woman stabbed reportedly 68 times while Metro police officers stood outside her door, heard her screams as she's being killed, wanted to go in. They were stacked up ready to go in and were told to stand down by their sergeant, wait for SWAT. And SWAT arrived after the sun came out, okay, with the knives in his hand. I got more information on that. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Saturday night, May 27th, 2023, from Las Vegas, Nevada. You've been listening to the Doug POPPA Podcast, independent investigative journalism. See you on the next episode.
This lawman sacrificed his badge for justice.
Poppa knew a secret that could free a man wrongfully imprisoned for shooting his ex-wife. But when Poppa stepped forward, he was cut down by his own police department.
All this stuff's going in my head. Should I call up to the defense attorney? Okay? And I knew if I did that, holy hell would break loose.
Deputy Sheriff Doug Poppa used to be one of the top cops in rural Loudoun County, Virginia. Deputy Poppa feels he's been busted himself. He lost his job as a narcotics investigator, he says, when he told an ugly truth about a 4-year-old crime. The truth about how his own department and the local prosecutor allegedly ignored key evidence and may have sent an innocent man to jail.
I testified, and everything changes.
What Deputy Poppa testified about was an attempted murder in 1987.
They deliberately withheld evidence that should have been given to my defense attorneys.
Bill Birch is the prosecutor Deputy Poppa accused of ignoring the evidence.
He says, I told the prosecutor, I told Mr. Birch that this woman said, I'm going to shoot myself if need be, and I'm going to make it look like my husband did it just to ruin his life. Did he say that to you?
No, he did not.
But this November, the court believed Doug Poppa.
Oh my goodness, is this the reception committee?
And on Valentine's Day, William Carter was released on a $50,000 bond and given a new trial.
This man usually puts people on trial in this courthouse, but in a rare turn of events, the Loudoun County Commonwealth Attorney was called to the witness stand. William Birch was asked to respond to allegations that he pressured a witness to lie in earlier court proceedings.
No, sir.
A woman who lived at the Carter mansion the night Carol Vandergrift Carter was shot 5 years ago testified that the prosecutor coached her to withhold testimony about the gun involved.
I certainly did tell him about that it was a .38.
I don't recall her saying anything about the gun, a .38 caliber, anything like that.
He's lying to cover his tracks on the last trial.
The high price one cop is paying for telling the truth.
After serving more than 4 years behind bars, Carter was on the edge of his seat when the verdict was read today.
We, the jury, on Keisha's joint, find the defendant William Douglas Carter not guilty.
After he audibly thanked the jury, Douglas Carter could not contain himself. The tears flowed.
I came out and testified in November of 1991 at the habeas corpus hearing, and again in January. I was suspended for 10 days without pay, and I ended up being fired after 12 years in this department.